In Spanish, we have two verbs to say to be. We can either say ser or estar. And it can be very difficult for beginner or even advanced level students to choose which one of them to use. So, let's make sure that after this lesson, that won't be a problem for you. Hola a todos, soy Daniel. Bienvenidos a Spanish with Daniel. Let's begin. Lección 4. Verbos ser y estar. So again, the verb to be in Spanish can be said as ser or estar, depending on the situation. And we will use ser to talk about permanent qualities. For example, to be Mexican, to be a man, to be smart. Qualities that usually don't change over time. And we're gonna use estar to describe temporary qualities. To be happy, to be angry, to be tired, and so on. We are also gonna use ser to talk about occupations. For example, to be a teacher, doctor, sales agent, etc. And lastly, we're gonna use estar to talk about locations. And it has nothing to do with the location being a temporary thing. Even for permanent locations, we will use estar. For example, the Eiffel Tower. The Eiffel Tower is in Paris. It will probably always be there. And in Spanish, we will describe that with estar. Let's take a look at some examples. We have ser on this side and estar on the right. Ser. Ser estudiante. You can repeat after me. Ser estudiante. Now we're using ser because that's an occupation. Even if it is not a profession, being a student is something you're occupied with. Ser estudiante. Ser maestro. Ser hombre. Now, why are we using ser here? It's not an occupation, but it's a permanent quality, something that usually doesn't change. And ser pequeño. To be short. Also a permanent quality. Pequeño. Now, estar. Estar en la casa. Estar en la oficina. Again, office is oficina. And we're using estar into these two examples because that's a location. To be home or to be in the office or at work. And we also have estar feliz, to be happy. And that's why we ask the question, ¿Cómo estás? Because we're asking, what is your state right now? ¿Cómo estás? How are you right now? What's your state? On the next slide, we're gonna have an exercise. But first, let's practice the vocabulary that we're gonna need. Please repeat each word after me. Colombiano. En la casa. En la escuela. Bien. Estudiante. Mal. Mexicano. Again, this case is not mexicano, it's mexicano. As you can see, some of these words are locations, states, occupations, or nationalities. That's why we're gonna use this vocabulary to practice if you have to use ser or estar. So, exercise. Fill in the blanks using ser or estar. The first one, colombiano, that will be ser. Ser colombiano. Nationality is something that usually doesn't change. Then, en la casa. Estar en la casa, a location. Next one, en la escuela. Also estar en la escuela, it's a location. Bien. Estar bien, we are describing a state. Estudiante. Ser estudiante, it's an occupation. Mal. Mal means bad, so it's the opposite of well or good. We are also describing a state, so estar. Mexicano. Nationality again, so ser. At this point, it is important to know the difference between the infinitive form and a conjugated form of a verb. So far, we have only been using the infinitive form of ser and estar. Infinitive form is the original unchanged form of a verb. That's how we find the verbs on the dictionaries. And a conjugation indicates the person and tense. So, for example, for ser and estar, if I want to use ser to say I am, that won't be yo ser. That is, yo soy. You are using ser, tú eres, and so on. Estar, to say I am using estar, yo estoy, tú estás, and so on. We're gonna cover in detail these conjugations. So first, let's begin with the conjugation of the verb ser in the present tense. For that, we're gonna use our pronouns again. On the left side, we have the singulars, and on the right side, the plurals. So to say I am, using the verb ser, that's gonna be yo soy. To say you are, tú eres. He or she is, él, ella es. You, polite, are. Usted es. The same word here. Some examples. Soy estudiante, or yo soy estudiante. That means I am a student. We don't need the a in Spanish, that is implied. We just need to say soy estudiante. Even yo, we don't need to say that, because soy already means I am. It's the only possible meaning. So pronouns in Spanish are sometimes omitted, since it is very clear who we're talking about. On this other example, él es maestro. He is a teacher. It's better to say él, since es can mean ella or él. So we say él es maestro. Now on the right side, nosotros. That means we. We are, that is, nosotros somos. Ustedes, you all, casual, son. Ellos, ellas, son. And ustedes, again, son. So you might notice that some of them are repeated here. On the singulars, we have él, ella, and usted. It's the same conjugation. And it's always going to be the same for any tense, any verb. That's why in future lessons, I'm going to group them all together. Él, ella, and usted are going to be one line, and they are all going to be the same conjugation. The same on this side. I have twice ustedes because this is the casual one and this is the polite one. But they are always the same in Latin American Spanish. So I'm just gonna group them all together. Ellos, ellas, and ustedes for future conjugation charts. Okay? Again, let's practice some new words before diving into the exercise. Repeat after me. Maestro. Estudiante. Médico. Policía. Grande. Pequeño. Hombre. Mujer. So, the exercise. Answer the questions as shown in the example. I will be asking you direct questions like ¿Eres policía? That means, are you a police officer? And you can answer with an affirmative, in an affirmative way. Sí, soy policía. Yes, I'm a police officer. Or in a negative way. No, no soy policía. No, I am not a police officer. I don't always need to ask tú, because eres already means you are. So you can see these questions are just eres this, eres that. That means you are. Or are you, since this is a question. And I will recommend you to practice with true information. If you are a student, say, yes, I'm a student. Because someone might at some point ask you these questions. So let's practice. ¿Eres estudiante? You can say, sí, soy estudiante. Or no, no soy estudiante. ¿Eres médico? ¿Eres maestro? ¿Eres grande? ¿Eres pequeño? ¿Eres hombre? ¿Eres mujer? I know it's weird to practice with a recorded video. That's why I give private Skype lessons on my website, SpanishWithDaniel.com. Okay, looking back at the conjugation chart, we can checkmark yo soy and tú eres. We have already covered and practiced those. Now let's practice the third group, él, ella, es. We can use this to describe other people. For that, we have this exercise. Create sentences to describe Pablo and Marcela. So this guy is Pablo, and we have Marcela here. And we also have their features. He's Colombian, student, a man. So, create sentences just like this one to describe him. The first one, to say his name, that will be él es Pablo. How will you say he's Colombian? Él es colombiano. How will you say he's a student? Él es estudiante. He is a man. Él es hombre. Now Marcela, how will you tell me her name? Ella es Marcela. Her nationality? Ella es mexicana. It's not mexicana, it's mexicana. Oh, and in this one, it has an A ending because we are describing a woman. Mexicano for men, just like colombiano for men, and mexicana, A ending for woman. Ella es mujer, and she's a student. Ella es estudiante. Now let's try a more practical exercise. Think about one of your acquaintances and describe him or her using sentences like él, ella, es. Make sure to mention his/her name, gender, nationality, and occupation. You might need one of these nationalities. So to say American, that's americano for men, americano, and americana for women. We have francés and francesa, alemán, alemana, and chino or china, just to mention some common nationalities. And of course, I won't be able to hear your answers, but write them down in your notes as an exercise. Pause the video before you continue to the next slide. Okay, now tell me about yourself. Creating sentences in the same way, tell me something about yourself. Now you have to say yo soy. And using that, you can mention your name, gender, nationality, and occupation. You can write the answers in your notes. So let me tell you something about myself. Hola, soy Daniel. Soy hombre. Soy mexicano. Y soy maestro de español. Again, there's no need to say yo each time. Soy already means I am. By the way, maestro de español of course means Spanish teacher. Alright, moving on. From the conjugation chart, we have already covered yo soy, tú eres, él, ella es, and many examples. And there's actually no need to cover all of the other conjugations today. They will work the same way. For example, nosotros somos, that means we are. And you can use it to say something about your nationalities, or your occupations, or your names. Just like we use yo soy, tú eres, él, ella es. Let's continue with the conjugation of the verb estar in the present tense. Bien, conjugation of the verb estar in the present tense. Remember, estar is used to talk about locations and temporary qualities. So to say I am using estar, that is, yo estoy. That means I am to describe a location or a temporary state. For example, estoy en la oficina. I am in the office. Again, we also don't need to say yo, since estoy already means I am. Now tú estás. Él, ella, está. Usted, can you guess what's gonna be the conjugation for usted? Está again. Remember, él, ella, and usted are always gonna have the same conjugation for all of the verbs and all of the tenses. Now nosotros estamos. Ustedes están. Can you guess the rest? It is están and están again. The last group is the same again. Alright, vocabulary for the next exercise. Repeat after me. Parque. Casa. Oficina. Escuela. Bien. Enfermo. Or we can also say enferma for woman, a sick woman, and enfermo, a sick man. So, the exercise. I will ask you direct questions like, ¿Estás en el parque? Are you in the park? And you can answer, sí, estoy en el parque. Or no, no estoy en el parque. ¿Estás en la casa? ¿Estás en la escuela? ¿Cómo estás? To that you can answer estoy bien or estoy mal, I'm not doing well, I'm bad, or estoy enfermo, I am sick. So again, ¿cómo estás? Or I can also ask you directly, ¿estás enfermo? Are you sick? And you can answer, sí, estoy enfermo if you're a man, or estoy enferma if you're a woman. Or no, no estoy enfermo. Or no, no estoy enferma. From the conjugation chart, we have covered yo estoy, tú estás. Now let's see how to use él or ella está. We can use this form to ask where something is located. For example, if you want to ask, where are the restrooms? For that we say, el baño. So, we use the question, ¿dónde está el baño? ¿Dónde means where, está es. And then we use what we're asking about, el baño. ¿Dónde está el baño? To ask about the location of the restaurant El Mariachi. For that, we say, el restaurante El Mariachi. So the question is, ¿dónde está el restaurante El Mariachi? To ask about the location of the subway station, we will need to use la estación de metro. So the question is, ¿dónde está la estación de metro? One more example, the museum. El museo. ¿Dónde está el museo? Muy bien. You might notice that we use el here, el, la, and el. If you want to know why we have different words for the, you can check out the next lesson. Alright, that's all for this lesson. I hope it was useful, and see you in the next one. Adios.